All right. Good evening to those of you on the East Coast. Good afternoon to those of you on the West Coast. I'm your host, Brandon Troy, host and co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited, and I'm joined by.
Jerome Bourgeois, co-creator, co-founder, Movers and Shakers Unlimited. How's it going, man? You had a good long day?
I sure did. Just sending a shout out to moms. Happy birthday once again. Uh, shout out to
Shout
her.
out to your mom.
Shout out to her. Thank you guys for joining us tonight for this week in review, that the show in which we talk about the news rounds that have made the bits over the course of the week. That is the prior Sunday to today. And before we get into that, of course, we have to jump into a couple of minutes, if you will. And so I'll start first by saying, thanks so much for joining us live. However, if you join us after this episode is aired, make sure that, and you can also, of course, do this if you're watching this live too. But make sure that you are a part of that conversation by using that hashtag TWnRMNSU. So that's This Week in Review, Movers and Shakers Unlimited. And additionally, if you're checking out a lot of the content that we have and you enjoy a lot of the content that we have, just know that we are also on Patreon. So make sure that you are a Patreon supporter and putting up that link. I'll put it down below, that you can be a Patreon supporter with us and enjoy.
Shout out Joel.
Shout out Joel. I was gonna get to it. Of course, I was gonna get to it, but yeah,
I had to do it. I had to do it first this time, man.
I got you. I feel you. But yes, shout out to Joel. Thank you for being a Patreon supporter with us. And with that out of the way, Jerome, let's just hop into it. So this week we did have on some unfortunate news that made the rounds, and that is the untimely passing of William Hurt, who passed at the age of 71. According to the story in Deadline that we have, however, you can find it elsewhere as well. Is that, as I said, Hurt passed away at the age of 71. It was announced just a couple of years ago that he had terminal prostate cancer, unfortunately, and that it had spread to the bone. So Hurt, of course, many folks recall from the MCU as General Ross, being a part of that Hulk section of the MCU and of that overall story arc. However, he's been in tons of other projects. Just to go down the list. I mean, Jerome, I know you were talking about a few of them when we were talking about it off stage. I mean, you could go down the list. Kiss of the Spider Woman, of course. I know for me, Altered States, Lost in Space. We also have an Accidental Tourist. I know for you, there were quite a few others, as well that come to mind. But he had such a diverse body of work in terms of the characters that he has played. What are your thoughts of his unfortunate passing this past week?
Yeah, I mean, it's really sad. I was definitely shocked. I mean, but they said, he was 72. What, 71, or is it?
Yeah, it was just shy of his 77.
Oh, he was about to turn 72. That's why.
He's about to.
But still, I still consider that young because that's a decent run. But whatever, I guess when it's your time, it's your time. But no, I thought he was. No, I just sometimes you just don't think about like certain people passing away that are actors because you just keep seeing them on screen, and like he was definitely, like you were saying, an actor of his caliber. He gave the MCU credibility by being such a great actor, I feel like, and not being one of the main stars. Just so to me, that's a testament to what Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios has done, and with their reputation and the types of movies they put out, to the point where you get someone like William Hurt to be a supporting actor who's so great, and that gives the whole universe credibility. Because like I said, he's not the main star in any of those films, but he's so good at playing General Ross. Like when you see Captain America: Civil War, you're like, you believe that he would really be the person that would be in charge of like the whole Sokovia Accords or whatever, and like and kind of facilitating the conflict, and then just continuing. I mean, that doesn't always happen. Some of these projects, you'll have. I'm not saying you won't have good actors, but you might not have like iconic actors who've been in such great films, or I guess character actors. People like to say, even though I don't like that term. But you might just have you might just be someone who's just whatever. You just never seen them, or they just come here and you're like, all right. But like someone that's been in he's been in a lot of classic films. I mean, he was also in The Village, Too Big to Fail. He was really great in that film, and that was based off of a book written by the guy who created Billions. So you should check that out, man. It's about the whole financial crisis. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah, I mean, The Good Shepherd, that was one of De Niro's films that he directed. What was it called? He went to Juilliard, and also I didn't know this. I mean, he was born in DC, so he's a DC native. That's pretty cool too. Hey, we have some great actors who come from this area. I mean, Jeffrey Wright's another one. But yeah, I mean that was it's definitely sad news, and he'll definitely be missed. I didn't even know, and according to this article, I didn't know he went to Juilliard also. I mean, it shows. I mean, he's a great actor, so I'm not surprised. But I just didn't know that. But yeah, he's been in a lot of different types of films, and to keep doing it after all this time is also just that shows like the caliber of his acting talent. So he'll definitely be missed. I mean, like I said, he was great in a lot of films that I enjoyed, and I don't think he won the Academy Award, but he's been nominated. He was nominated. I think it was for History of Violence. I think it was that film, and there was some other. He had 3 consecutive Best Actor Academy Award nominations in the mid '80s for Kiss of the Spider Woman, and Children of a Lesser God, and Broadcast News. So he was nominated, and then also was a History of Violence. So I mean, that shows you. I mean, even if you don't win, you just nominated that many times. I mean, come on, just to get nominated is a big deal. So. But I will say I do always like seeing like I said, I still need to watch some of his older films. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't seen all of them, but I love seeing some of these actors who maybe when they were younger they had maybe a different audience, or they were in certain films that people recognize them by, and then they just keep acting, and then later on they get new fans in different roles, and it kind of pivots. Another sad example that guy who remember someone who passed away recently also what was it, Christopher Plummer. I mean, remember Christopher Plummer was in The Sound of Music, but then he was also an Inside Man, and Inside. I'm just like, wow,
a lot of people forget that. Yeah,
I know, it's crazy. It's like that dude's been around for a while, and it's like, but I mean, obviously, well, I'm not saying Michael Caine is still Michael Caine. That's great, but he's another one who's been around for such a long time, and it's like, wow, he kind of has like this encore career as he got older, and some classic superhero films and just great, big movies. But before, that dude's been around as like a supporting role. Like, he wasn't as big before, and it just took time. And it's like, I love seeing that with certain actors and hearing these stories, because you just like, it just shows it's like there is even the overnight success, which is really BS, is like 20 years, 30 years. It could be longer than that. And you might hit your peak way later. And then you also can expand your audience and your fans. And like I said, there's gonna be people who've seen him in these films, like Captain, all the MCU films, Captain America: Civil War, and Black Widow, and Endgame, and Infinity War, and Incredible Hulk, and be like, yeah, he was that guy. But it's like, he's been in the game. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just so funny. It's like, it's kind of like what was that other? I think even I was just hearing that. What was it? It was like, no, Jamie Foxx was talking about this, how like some of the young people who didn't know about the stuff he did in Living Color, whatever. They're just, or they don't even know about his acting career. They're just like, oh, he's the guy in the Kanye song. And it's the same thing, but it's cool to do that, because it's like you're reinventing yourself, and you're just expanding your brand and like your audience. And I think that's great. And he definitely did that. So he'll definitely be missed. But yeah, man, the guy's he's been in the game for a while, so it was definitely a shock, and it was sad. So
I mean, I would say the thing that is there's it's obviously sad that he has passed, but there is something that can happen out of this, and unfortunately it always happens when we have artists pass away, is that you kind of touched on it, but I want to take it a step further, is looking back on their body of work. So like, yeah, we have a whole generation of folks out there and fans, that have come to know him out because of the MCU. But now, as information comes out about, and mind you, for us, and we always have to like keep reminding ourselves, us being movie fans and being fans of cinema, we're not a lot of times the run of the mill, standard fan that may not be up to date on every single facet of, actors, directors, artists, what have you. And so, hopefully this provides or causes people to look back on other, the other projects that, that he has done. And I'm saying for those that may just know him for the MCU, that they look back on the other things that he did. Because as I said, we were talking about it before, and you guys are, are privy to this, is that I love science fiction, I love horror movies, and one of my favorite, William Hurt films is Altered States. Like, if anyone hasn't checked it out, I highly recommend that you check it out. It is a head trip, but I mean, it still holds to this day with, a lot of the things that it discusses, and some of the things that it delves into. It's really fascinating stuff. And yeah, it's a bummer that he's no longer with us, but um, condolences to his friends and family, and hopefully that pushes folks that may only know him for his more recent work to look back to his body of work. That's all I'll say. Did you have anything else to add before I move on?
Yeah, I mean, well, lastly, I'll just say, I mean, obviously this is not as important, but I'm just curious now with, like this is one thing with the MCU, they have so many films and they just keep cranking them out and TV shows. And it's like you have so many actors that just continue playing the same role. And like, I mean, this is inevitable. Obviously, some of the characters are gonna, the actors are gonna pass away, pass away in real life. It'll be interesting to see how obviously they go, to honor him, but also whether are they going to just? I wonder if they'll just recast his character or they'll just have a different character come in. Because I mean, we haven't seen. We'll see what happens with Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Obviously, that's that was. I'm sure that was a tough decision for them to think of, and we'll see how that turns out. But that is also something that is kind of. I almost feel like it's a little bit unprecedented for like such a because the MCU is such a huge franchise. It's not as opposed to like and where they have consistent characters continuing to play certain roles, as opposed to like the James Bond franchise where they just keep recasting after like 5 movies or 4. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. But I'm sure they'll honor him somehow and dedicate one of the next shows or movies to him or something maybe. So we'll see. But yeah, it was definitely a shock, and yeah, definitely my condolences to his family and his friends and colleagues.
For sure. And so let's hop into our next story. Bring it up here, and I'll share it actually. So this past week, there was news that the Queens Gambit co-creator, if you will be working. Excuse me. Will be with his next project. Will be working with Patty Stenger, who many of you guys know from Millionaire Matchmaker. Sharing it now, and it's an exclusive from Deadline. That the Untitled project will follow a young dating expert from a Jewish family of matchmaking, navigating her way through 1970s New York City and New Jersey as she seeks to turn her family trade into an empire. So as as many of you know, the co-creator of the Queen's Gambit is Mr. Alan Scott, and I'll put him up here according to the story. Jerome, what are your thoughts of the melding of these two parties to do this new project?
Yeah, I mean, I know obviously this is something that I put on the docket as a story. Two reasons why I thought this was an interesting story. I'm gonna be full disclosure. Like I used to watch that show a lot, Millionaire Matchmaker, as one of those guilty pleasures for a reality show, which was actually I actually thought it was kind of funny and educational at the same time, but also just so ridiculous because you have these millionaires like getting matched, and Patty is such a character when she's giving advice to the bachelors and she doesn't put up with anything. So it's like she's hilarious as like a character who is just a person in real life who just doesn't put up with anything. She doesn't care. It doesn't matter how rich you are. It's like she doesn't care if these guys are millionaires or billionaires. It doesn't matter. So that show has continued and it's been pretty popular. And I just thought it was funny that like, wow, okay, so she's actually developing like a movie or a TV series. This is probably gonna be a TV series or a miniseries. I'm assuming since they're collaborating with the Queens Gambit creator. Because that was a miniseries. So I was like, oh, wow, this is interesting. They're actually going to make a movie kind of based off of this, but it's going to be set in the 1970s. And, obviously she's Jewish in real life. So I'm sure it's going to be somewhat, based off of her life. I mean, even if it's not completely. So I thought that was kind of interesting too. But also I think this is also another extension of the idea of intellectual property, transitioning into different mediums. Because I mean, like I said, Millionaire Matchmaker is a reality show. I mean, it was pretty popular, but the fact that now, hey, the person who's done that is creating a movie or a TV series or a miniseries, a narrative scripted one based off of that, or somewhat based off of that, even if it's a different time period, and getting the person who created the Queen's Gambit. I mean, that was like the highest rated miniseries on Netflix. I mean, I don't know if it's still, but it's definitely one of them. I mean, he's definitely on top of his game. The creator, Scott, but what's it called? But yeah. I mean, I think that's pretty impressive, and for Alan Scott obviously doing that, and for him to take it on as his next project is interesting. And also, like, just knowing that, like, the Queen's Gambit, I mean, it was acclaimed and revered. I mean, it took him like 30 years to get
30 years, yeah.
Get that project got. So I mean, like, to me, that's also really inspirational. It's like the idea that this guy did not stop or give up, or it's just for whatever. Sometimes it's timing. It's the timing, or whoever's involved, whoever wants to continue going. But like, I think it was only like 2 people that stayed on that project ever since. They kept pitching it or kept trying to bring it to the either the big screen or small screen or just develop it. So I mean, that's resilience. It's resilience and tenacity in show business, and I'm looking forward to this. I mean, that just shows that, like, obviously, like, he must be interested in this project, and this is. Like, Patty's taking this seriously too. Like, they're not just trying to put anything together. So I'll probably definitely check it out. But I just thought it was kind of funny, and also it's also inspirational too. That like you could do like a reality show or something and turn it into a movie or what. Because I don't know how many reality shows have done that. Like I don't know. I know there's been documentaries. There's been a trend of a lot of documentaries that have turned into miniseries, like the one about Eleanor Holmes, the Theranos. Like there's this series on Hulu, which is pretty good. The documentary on the guy who created WeWork. It's called We Crash. It's on Apple. I got to check that one out. That one's really good. And then also, what's another one? There was like another one they had recently. Even the Tinder Swindler, they're turning that into a movie. And then Tiger King, they're turning. So I'm just like, this is almost the new trend. It's been a trend for documentaries or miniseries, miniseries with specific stories. But I haven't seen for a reality show. Now, it's true. I'm not saying this is exactly a reality show, but that's what she's known for. So, like, the idea of, like, turning that into something that's a narrative project is still pretty impressive to me. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. So we'll see where this goes. But to me, it just says that they're taking it seriously. They're not just trying to put something together if they're bringing this guy on board. So that's why I thought it was pretty interesting.
No, I hear you. So I guess No, I mean I have no basis. You have a better handle of it than I do. I have seen a Queen's Gambit. And that's probably that's the only thing that out of what we have listed here that I have seen. So, but in thinking of like the parties involved, it's always smart to surround yourself with talent and people that are capable and demonstrated that they're capable, in the roles that they have. And there's no, folks that are none better than the folks that you have involved with this project in order to, get it off the ground. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of it and how it shapes. But yeah, it's never a bad thing to surround yourself, with capable, artists that have already demonstrated, or say artists, anyone in their respective fields, be it screenwriter, producer, what have you, that have demonstrated that, they are dedicated. We were talking about being on something for 30 years, being at
Yeah,
something for 30 years,
I respect that,
dedication.
man.
Yeah, have dedication like that.
that.
Character wise, that, the people that you're getting involved with, they're not just going to throw it aside. They are actually going to dedicate time in it if they are, invested. So I apologize for the noise outside. It's a fire truck. But anyway, yeah, like
And also, like, I mean, also this guy was but he was I think a whiskey executive or something before. So like whatever. I mean, that's what that's just hustle and grind. I mean, to me, it's just like, I think it's just amazing, and it's inspirational to anyone just trying to get something off the ground. I mean, I think it says something in this, something like that. He was like, he was a he was an executive, but also, just lastly, just to reiterate the idea of it, to me, it also shows times have changed too, because remember, I feel like back in the day, you probably like 10, 20 years ago, most of the time, if anybody wanted to make something based off of like a book or whatever, it'd be like, oh, we're trying to make a movie, or oh, we're trying to maybe a TV series, maybe that. But now it's like I'm saying with this trend, it's like miniseries now. It's like I said, all those examples I was telling you about, they're not going to be long lasting TV shows. They're going to have like one season of like, I don't know, maybe 8 episodes, 10 episodes, and then that's it. This is like the new trend now, and because streamers are so big now, and that's what they've been putting out, and they've been doing well, and people like these types of stories, these miniseries that are based like ripped from the headlines. This has become like one of the new go-to things. I'm not saying this is exactly what she's doing, but it looks like that's what she's probably doing. So with this project, so I just think that's also interesting, seeing how times have changed, and now this is another viable option, instead of just saying, oh, I want to make a movie based off of my life, or oh, I want to do a TV series, maybe. No, let's do a little miniseries, and then we're done. We can really tell that story in like 8 episodes or whatever. So it's also pretty cool seeing that how things have changed now. So new trend.
For sure. And hopping into our last story today, it's going to be a shorter episode. Meant to preface it with that.
Oh, yeah.
But hopping into the mainline story that we have that you probably are seeing, as the title of our story, news made it this week that HBO Max and Discovery Plus are going to be combining into one platform, as you see there. So in a story out of Deadline, it was revealed this past week that Discovery, which of course is about to become Warner Brothers Discovery within the next month or so, has confirmed plans that it's going to combine its streaming service, Discovery. I'm about to say Disney. Discovery.
That would be really expensive.
That would be crazy. Yes, with Discovery Plus and Warner Media's HBO Max into one service, rather than doing 2 platforms as a bundle. So Jerome, what are your thoughts on this? I know that there are some caveats to this, because it's not going to happen immediately. It's going to be a process, but at least that's what the end game is. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have mixed feelings about this, because I get it, because I mean they're combining, so they have to find a way to have a service or a product, a service that's going to be easily accessible to their subscribers or consumers and easy to sell. I mean, in the story it says that they're gonna, it's gonna take some time to transition, so they're going to have probably a bundle kind of like what Disney
Yeah, that's
does.
what they were saying. That they were
Yeah, like like Disney has like you can buy Disney, you can get Disney Plus, but you also can get
right.
Disney Plus, ESPN, and Hulu. There's different
And that
levels.
you
I
have
think
to
that's fine.
you would use
Yeah.
the same sign-in.
And that's cool,
yeah.
and I get that. I feel like that kind of is, I mean, that's fine, and there's nothing wrong with that. But and I do understand the idea of like, yeah, if you can just have one app and then you pay a certain price and they can charge more, obviously, but then you could have tiers with the ads or no ads. That'll also be just easy for the consumer. It's like, all right, I pay for this, I get all that. The only caveat to that is I feel like the brands don't mix. Like they're not being consistent with their branding because it's like, I'm sorry, like HBO already has kind of watered down their brand a little bit with HBO Max, because if you notice, if you watch HBO Max, there's some shows that say HBO Max show and then some are HBO. And it's like, I'm not saying it's not completely, I'm not saying it's completely off, but I am kind of seeing a little, you're getting some programming on there that wasn't originally just HBO. And HBO is known for their high quality and taking chances and everything. And I do like how they are adding different things to that are cool. And they are pretty consistent, but I feel like if you're gonna, they have kind of changed that slightly, and they have some content on there that's not even, scripted or narrative stuff that they usually do. There's some competition show on there, some dating show, which is different, but whatever. But now you're gonna bring Disney. I'm saying Disney Discovery Plus, which is primarily like reality or reality series TV, documentary shows. I mean, they have like Luda Can Cook, even though I wouldn't mind checking that out. That is not consistent branding with HBO type of programming. So I would think from a marketing standpoint, you probably would want to separate those. But if somehow they can do it like they were saying in the story, if somehow maybe you could just have access to both. Yeah, like you're saying with the password, I mean, maybe that would be fine. Or maybe something like where even if you go in the portal, you sign in, you could pick which one you want to go to. Because, like I said, to me, it's the same with like Disney. Like, I really doubt that Disney's gonna put any of their R-rated films or anything that's like from Fox or Deadpool. When Deadpool 3 comes out, or all the Deadpool films, they're not gonna put that on Disney Plus. They'll probably put it on Hulu. And I've yet to see when these Netflix shows that were supposed to be on Disney Plus. I don't even see them on Disney Plus, so I would think they're probably gonna go to Hulu. I don't know, but the whole idea is like that's not, it's just not consistent branding with Disney Plus. So like you can't have your R-rated stuff on Disney Plus because people are expecting, hey, I want to watch this on Disney Plus. So and they've already marketed it as like PG-13, family-friendly content. That's the main issue I would think with Discovery and HBO Max, Discovery Plus. And also, I'm not gonna lie, like, because those are kind of really vast libraries, as a consumer myself, like, what if I don't want to pay for Discovery Plus? I just want HBO Max. I think they still need to have that option where you don't want to, if you don't want to have the other, but the consumer might not have a choice because now they've merged it, they can do whatever they want. But it's kind of like, there's a reason why I don't mind paying for certain streamers, because I don't want to have hundreds of channels that I don't watch. Like that was one of the problems with cable, which is why cable is kind of dying off. There's so many channels out there that you're paying for that you don't even watch, and also it's not on demand. Streaming services, at least it's on demand, but then you can be more selective. But then you could end up spending the same amount of money as having cable. But that's on you if you want to buy all. I mean, you don't have to. You could just pick and choose. But being forced to have to maybe pay more or have another streaming service that you didn't really want. If you have to pay more, I think that would be an issue for me. Unless they just added it together and now it's the same price point. I don't know. It's a bonus. That's different, but that's hard for me to believe because look at Disney Plus. Disney Plus came out. And they have like the bundle with ESPN, Disney Plus, and Hulu is not the same price as just like, you do save money though. You do save money. I'm not gonna lie. As opposed to if you got them individually. But, I just pay for, Disney Plus that's what I watch out of that bundle. I just think they need to give options because this is my personal opinion. I don't think everyone who watches HBO Max is watching Discovery Plus. Some people might, but I don't think it's not consistent to me. HBO HBO Max, I mean, that's like Cinemax, HBO combined, and then they have, now the Warner stuff. They put all the DC stuff or whatever. So it's like, at least it's movie stuff, and they have TV scripted stuff. But when you start putting all this reality show documentary stuff, it's going to be kind of, well, I guess the closest thing you can say is getting closer to like really trying to compete with Netflix at that level. And it's like, but to me, it's like HBO already has its brand. Why do you don't? I feel like they don't need to do that, but it's inevitable, I guess. So what are you gonna do?
I mean, I hear you. I guess I'll start first. I know we were talking about like what the plan is, so I'll go into it based on what was discussed. So I apologize if I am butchering your name, but Weidenfeld. So he's the CFO over at Disney. Disney. We keep saying Disney. Keep saying Disney. It's on our mind.
I know you love Disney
But
Plus, man. We like
but
Disney.
yeah, CFO. As I said, Gunnar. Weidenfeld, who is the Discovery CFO. He's also going to be the CFO when they once they have Warner Brothers Discovery, newly combined and official. He's going to be the CFO over there. He was quoted as saying, and talking about how this joining is going to work. The question is, in order to get to that point and do it in a way that's actually a great user service, speaking of these two entities for our subscribers, that's going to take some time. Again, that's nothing's going to happen in weeks, hopefully not in years, but in several months. So, that's the game plan of what they are planning to do, or to say the timetable that they're looking to work with. And then he, goes into, those other, instances that we were talking about. And he says, we will, start working on an interim solution in the meantime. So right out of the gate, we're working on bundling, the approach, doing a single sign-on, that type of thing. So, selfishly, to be able to have more content, it would be cool to do that because, you have some organizations out there that automatically give you access to, as a prerequisite of many times, whether you're a part of a phone service, whether you're part of any type of streamer, or I should say any type of service provider. A lot of times they'll bundle it together. So now you're actually going to get access to more content by default, just by virtue of them putting both of these together. So that's a win-win. So, but there was something, and I wanted to bring attention to it, that was, a little bit odd in what was talked about. I know you were talking about how, how maybe, those that are watching HBO Max may not be the same as those watching Discovery Plus. And commenting to that, I don't know how I feel about, how that was worded, because like I would arguably say that it's the opposite, but I'll tell you what I mean. So, in the same and speaking of what each streamer brings to the table, this is what was said by, and I believe it was still by Weidenfeld. The comment was, the combination could not make more sense than what we're doing here. We have HBO Max with a more premium male skewing positioning, and then you've got the female positioning on the Discovery side. I don't know why you're specifying specifically that HBO Max is specifically male and Discovery, Plus is specifically female. That was kind of weird, because I'm like, okay, I'm sure that there are products or programming content that people, whether you're male or female, would watch Discovery, and the same goes for HBO.
But they're probably looking at the data though. They're probably looking at the analytics, and they're probably looking at the majority of the shows in the data.
I mean, probably what it is. You have a lot of the superhero content, and don't get it twisted. Like, yeah, there are males that watch that content, but we have a great deal of females that watch a lot of that superhero content too. So I'm sure
they're probably looking at the majority, but there are. I'm sure there's analytics that looks at the majority, because, like I said, you got to remember HBO. Remember, HBO started this whole golden era of TV with the whole making TV like movies, cinematic TV. That's what I call it. Like the gold, like they started all that. They really were spearheaded all that. But I just feel like to keep that brand strong, you probably want to continue, showcasing that brand and adding to that, and kind of still keeping that separate so that it's like, you know, that quality is still there, as opposed to something like Netflix. I'm not saying Netflix doesn't have quality, because they do, but Netflix still, like I said, Netflix, when they started making content, they kind of did the same sort of thing, but they still were in so many different areas too. So it's kind of like that's what Netflix already, that was the foundation of Netflix. When you start seeing all these shows, they were already entering all these different markets, these different genres, not just, you know, scripted content and movies and TV shows, but they did documentary reality. Like, so to me, the branding that's not as much of an issue for Netflix, because that's what they did. But I just feel like now with HBO and then Discovery, they can figure out a way, I'm sure, but you know, it's gonna be. To me, that's more of the issue, the branding part. Like the demographics, like we were talking about. Yeah, I'm sure there's women and men. They'll watch whatever on either one. But I think what this exec is just saying, that guy is saying, is just they're probably looking at the specific. What's the majority of the demographic, or maybe overall, you know, when it comes to the shows, and also what's more highly rated too, because not every show on, even the ones that do well, not all of them are, you know, they might not have the same amount of ratings in a certain demographic compared to other shows. So maybe they're probably looking at overall, and the same with Discovery, because I don't know, like I haven't watched the stuff on Discovery, but I'm sure that I know they have so many of these different shows that are like you know, that are like reality shows or documentary types that, like, depending on the topic, will skew, you know, either demo, if it's males or females or whatever the age group is. So that's probably what they're looking at. Oh yeah, and also I just want to make a correction from one of the statements I said in the last conversation. It's Elizabeth Holmes, not Eleanor Holmes. I said that for the Theranos CEO. Anyway, but I don't know. Anything you want to add to that though?
No. But with that being said, before we, you know, wrap up here, I wanted to, you know, be able to make a couple of announcements. Of course, we do have Rediscovering the Federation happening in Cannes tomorrow at 10 a.m. I know typically it happens today, but it just didn't, you know, happen today for various reasons. Chief among them, you know, with family commitments, and then on top of that too, you know, our two staff members, Josh and Chris, who do, you know, great with that show. They actually were at a con, so we'll be able to talk about that tomorrow too, on top of the show. And additionally, I know that you guys had a chance to check it out on our Instagram, but I wanted to be able to show it again, and that is none other than the show that we will be doing for Picard. So tomorrow at 11:30, so 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we will have our show Engage, which is the Picard series talk back that we'll have, as you can see from this Instagram post that you could check out over on our Instagram, of course, is that we will have a guest host each week. And for this week, we'll just be talking about episodes 1 and 2. Our guest host this week is none other than a friend to the show, Ulysses Campbell, who many folks out there know from Fantastic Forum, from the content that they do there. So make sure that you join us here on the YouTube channel to talk all things Star Trek. We're going to have a double header, if you will, one on Discovery and the other on Picard. So just make sure that you are here for that, and, you know, bring your questions and your comments. We always, appreciate, you guys interacting with us and, sharing your thoughts, not just on the news that we do, the entertainment news that we do, but also on the shows that we, like to cover as well. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, that is happening tomorrow. But other than that, I want to pass it over to co-creator JB. Jerome, can you tell folks where they can find you?
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for checking us out today. And if you want to, get more information, follow me on Twitter or Instagram. It's right there, JW Bourgeois 21. You can also follow us on Facebook or Twitter at Move and Shake UNLTD. That's Move and Shake UNLTD. And also Instagram at Movers Shakers Unlimited. You got it right there on Instagram. Also, if you want to support us, like Brandon said previously on Patreon, you go to patreon.com/Movers Shakers Unlimited. And on YouTube, Movers Shakers Unlimited. Subscribe, press the press the little bell button, and you'll get the feed. And also, like I said, comment and let us know about what you want us to talk about, or anything you want us to feature, or maybe what event, any specific event you want us to cover, because that's what we do. And there's some fun ones happening next month in this area that you might see some YouTube shorts I might post soon. So also this week there's some stuff, some surprises. You might just see some random YouTube shorts of some cool events. So I'll let you guys know. And I know Brandon too. He's going to be doing some stuff. But anyway, yeah, I'll pass it back to you, man.
Indeed, yeah. I definitely will be at another event, and I'll leave it as a surprise that I'll be at tomorrow that I plan on hitting and sharing, some of the goings on, if you will, of what's happening, at that event. So be on the lookout for that. I'll try to do some photos of it that you can check out over on our Instagram, which we've already shared, as well as some of the goings on via YouTube Shorts. So be on the lookout for that. But other than that, of course, you can find me at Brandon Choi ENT on Twitter and Brandon Choi _ENT on Instagram. Outside of that, I don't think there's any much else to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. Of course, thank you for those of you that have been checking out a lot of the material that that we've been doing on a weekly basis. It is appreciated. We try to do our best to, provide, content for you guys to enjoy. And, we have some great momentum, as I said, each week, great momentum going. And we, appreciate you guys by, sharing out, the content that you guys enjoy to others as well. So that way we can keep that momentum going. So again, thank you guys so much. Be safe out there, and see you soon. Peace.
Peace out.